Welcome to Coffee with the Librarians for the end of July. I channel daily for my private community, and the last two channels have been so incredibly powerful and pertinent to the construction that I'm going through that I wanted to come here and do a group channeling for everybody. Um, I met with somebody yesterday who used the phrase inner architecture, and that dropped in, and that was kind of what spurred this development in my channels. So let me connect. The first thing that we want to say is that we recognize right now that the world feels very chaotic, that there is a swirling, that so many of you are choosing at this point in time to pull away from news, to pull away from people, to pull away from communities and situations that in the past you would have never dreamed of pulling away from. And the reason that you were doing that is because you notice how they knock you off of your center, how they knock you off of your balance. The phrase the eye of the storm is a popular phrase in your culture. And what it means is when there is a hurricane, there is literally a center in the middle, the eye, where everything can be twirling around it, but yet that eye stays calm. The wisdom, the reminder that we wish to bring forth is the I is not spelled EYE. It is the I. It is the capital letter I. It is the self. The self is always at the center. When the self starts moving in and getting caught to the storm, when we start feeling pulled, when you start feeling pulled, when you start feeling like, I can't handle this anymore, the answer is to return to the I, to the return to the capital letter I, not to return to the EYE, but to return to the I so you can be in the proverbial EYE. So, yes, the answer is always to return to the I. And we commend you for the steps that you have taken, steps that you have taken to protect yourself, steps that you have taken to return yourself to this I. And yet, we also wish to communicate that when the storm touches you, when the storm touches you, it often touches a part of you that is no longer necessary for you. It is not always about avoiding the storm. It is about being aware. Am I in the eye? And when I am in the eye and the storm touches and breaks something else, it is touching and breaking that which is no longer necessary for the eye. When the storm touches something, it is taking away something that is no longer necessary for the I, for the capital letter I. This is an awareness that we all ask you to have and to lean into. Am I out of the I in myself and therefore need to return to the I? Or am I indeed in the I, in the capital letter I? And if so, what is the storm taking away from me? What is the storm clearing? And how can I remain centered and release what is no longer mine? We understand there is grief, there is shock, there is fear when things are being removed that we are not choosing to remove, that are being removed for us. And yet we also laugh because it is so human to say, I don't want to make that decision. I don't want to make that decision. So we laugh. It is being made for you. And now you say, I didn't want that decision to be made for me. Not being cheeky, we say, which is it? Can it be both? What that phrasing is that you, as the human, do not wish to have that part of you removed from you, which is where we remind you to go back into the I and to release what is no longer yours. We laugh at Lora here because Lora uses the concept of burlesque in her work. Lora uses the concept of stripping down, of removing the layers to reveal the golden heart that is underneath. And we affirm her work in that you are all the golden heart. The golden heart is the I. So why do you cling so hard to the clothing that covers up that golden heart? Whether you choose to remove that cover or that cover is removed for you, the result is that golden heart being lifted up and held on display. We ask you to focus into the joy around that, into the clarity around that, into the peace around that. To allow your human to grieve, to allow your human to feel afraid, to allow your human its human emotions and its human nature. But to stay connected to the spirit, to the soul, to the I, and to step forward into your next. We say incarnation. It's not an incarnation in the same way you would think an incarnation is. Humans go through multiple incarnations in their same life. It is a new incarnation of the energy field, both within and without, which is why when Lora was given the phrase yesterday, restructuring her inner architecture, it resonated so deeply. For we all want to restructure our external architecture. We want to restructure the people who are around us. We want to restructure the things that are around us. We think the car will fix us. We think the clothing will fix us. We think the relationships or the status will fix us. And yet it is all the internal architecture that matters most. It is the rebuilding of that internal architecture that matters most. We take you deeper. We hear that you understand this concept, but what you say is, I don't know what I want. Lead me to what I want. I will be the faithful servant. I will be the faithful follower. To which we say, what do you want? You, born in the image and likeness of the greatest creator, are a creator in your own right. What is it that you are creating? And we come right back to the question that we posed earlier. When you say, I want to make my own decisions, and when you also say, I do not want to make that decision, you say, I want to create my own life, and I don't want to create my own life. Show me the path. These are mutually exclusive concepts. This is the human and the soul. What does the human want? What does the soul want? You, the greatest, created from the greatest creator, are the greatest of creators. You, who are created from the greatest creator, are the greatest of creators. And yet, you refuse to create your inner structure, but focus on the external. You, who can create an inner structure that brings exactly what your soul desires to bring in, allows other people to build beams and build foundations that should not be there. We go now to judgment. Judgment is such a universal phenomenon that we judge, and yet we hate to be judged. And instead of rejecting that judgment, we assimilate that judgment and we create from that space of judgment. Creating from a space of judgment is the external facade and is not the steel beams underneath. Only you can create the internal architecture. What will you create? We remind you that it is not a singular creation. We remind you that it is to be created and created again and created again. It is rolling, it is ongoing. We give you the example of the Golden Gate Bridge. Maintenance on the Golden Gate Bridge never ends. They begin at one end, they move to the other, they begin at one end and they move to the other, and it is a constant rolling cycle of creation and maintenance and repair. So too is your life. While there is no such thing as linear time, and that is something for a different discussion, we want to bring your attention to the concept of time, to the concept of a life and a lifespan, and the constant creation that rolls through that lifespan. For how boring would it be to have one creation and that creation takes place at age 6 and then nothing else is created from that? The point of life is creating. The point of life is creating that internal structure. The point of life is to release that judgment and to not allow other people's judgment to build your own internal structure. The point of life is to be the creator that you were designed to be. The point of life is to make decisions, and when you are not willing or ready to make decisions, to allow yourself to say, ah, you make those decisions for me. I will hold the energy of that decision in my field, knowing that it is something I could not do on my own. This is the point of spirituality and connection, to connect with whatever your spiritual source is, to say, guide me. But the point that humans do not say is the ending of that sentence, guide me, when I am not able to guide myself. And guide me. Guide me when I am unable to do this myself. You are creators. The creation is internal. Where are you allowing others to create for you? And how do you return to the I, the capital letter I, the self, in order to stay in the I of this world, of this storm? We have opened many doors that can be followed through from here. And we will return and pass through those doors at a later time. But for now, I in the I, creation of self internally. See why I had to come and do that? It was pretty deep and it was coming through pretty hard, and there was a lot there. So, thank you for listening. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you whenever I feel called to come back and have the librarians share more. Bye.